Hey there, YouTube. My name is Becky. This is Bria Makes Art. Today we're going to do a painting and we're going to talk about how fear impacts your art. As I was preparing to make the voiceover for this video, on my daily calendar there was a quote here that fit beautifully with what I'm going to talk about. It says, "The years are flying past, and we all waste so much time wondering if we dare to do this or that. The thing is to leap, to try, to take a chance." And that was by Leonard Cohen. We all experience fear when we're encountered with something new. That includes staring at a blank page, starting a painting, starting a drawing, even putting sketches in our sketchbook. When I thought about creating this YouTube channel, I was afraid. I was afraid that it was going to fail. I was afraid that people would judge me. I was afraid that my artwork wasn't good enough. Lots of different reasons for me to put off starting this channel. Obviously, finally, I got over those fears and just jumped in. And that's part of what you have to do in order to do anything new. You have to take that leap. You have to try. You have to take a chance. And the nice thing is, with our artwork, we don't have to show anybody the results of that. We can keep it to ourselves. So our sketchbooks, our paintings, they're all safe spaces for us to do work, to experiment, to try new things. And if we don't like it how it turns out, that's fine. We don't have to show anyone. Fear is normal. It is part of just being the human experience. One thing, as children, we are taught that failure is bad, that we don't want to fail, that, you know, that we shouldn't fail, that we should be able to do a thing and just try and be good at it. And that's not really true. Failure is a learning experience. Failure is a way for us to understand how things work, what to do, what not to do, what we like, what we don't like. And that's how we have to start reframing it in our minds, is to say, hey, I'm going to take this experiment. I'm going to do this experiment. I'm going to go on this adventure and I'm going to see what happens. And sometimes we're going to like what happens and sometimes we're not, but that's okay. That's part of what we're doing. That's part of being an artist, is to try different things and see what we like and see what we don't. It goes back to a word that I learned years ago called kaizen, and that's a Japanese word, I believe, that means continuous improvement. And it's something that I take to heart in not only my artwork, but my life, in my job. I'm a software engineer, and I think of my career or my hobbies as, hey, you know what? This is where I am now. Let me keep trying to get better. I just want to keep trying to get better, keep learning what works, keep learning what doesn't work, and just keep going. And that's Kaizen. There is no quick fix to getting over the fear of failure. We have to just simply continue doing it, continue trying, and continue thinking about it as not as failure, but as an experiment or an adventure. And eventually we will train our brains to think of it that way and to not be scared. We need to continue to pick up that pencil and make that sketch, to pick up your paintbrush and make that painting, to continue to try and understand that sometimes it's going to work and sometimes it's not, and that is okay. And it's hard. It's hard because when we get ready to do it, we're afraid that it's not going to turn out. We're afraid that we're going to mess it up. We're afraid that somebody's going to see it and judge us. But you know what? I've shown people work that I am not proud of, that I don't think is very good, and I almost always get very positive feedback. People are impressed that I tried, are impressed that I can do what I can do. It may not be a Picasso or a Van Gogh or anything like that. It's not going to end up in a museum anywhere anytime soon, but I tried. I put myself out there. I put my feelings, myself into that piece, and people see that and they respond to that. So remember that even though you see all of the issues in your drawings or paintings or whatever, other people looking at it don't see those. You're focused on all of those little things that you think you did wrong. Other people aren't looking at those tiny details. They're looking at the overall effect, and the overall effect is usually much better than we give ourselves credit for. And that goes to a thing that I've been trying to do, and I heard, and I don't remember which YouTuber said it, so I can't really give credit where credit is due. But one of the things that I try to do now is when I make a piece, do a drawing, just do a sketch in my sketchbook, I look at it to try and find things that I like about that sketch, about that painting, so that I can focus on the good instead of the bad. That doesn't mean that I just ignore anything bad in that sketch or in that piece. I do look at those bad things to try and figure out, what can I improve? What do I not like? What do I not want to do again? But I try to focus a lot more on the good than on the bad. And that will just overall improve your feeling towards your work and make you want to make more, because you will look at things and you will see the good things instead of all of the bad things, and it will just make you feel better, and it will reduce that fear of making something bad. Another thing that makes me hesitate, I guess kind of gives me pause, gives me fear, is when I go to work on my sketchbook. I'm not necessarily afraid of failing, but I'm afraid that what I'm going to draw or paint or whatever isn't original enough, isn't good enough, it isn't interesting enough. And I don't I don't think that that's a valid concern. I think that whatever you want to make, whatever you want to draw or paint or sculpt is good enough, is interesting enough. It doesn't have to be completely original. It is going to contain parts of you because you made it. And that's what makes it interesting, not the subject matter. The other thing to remember is that when you're working in your sketchbook, it isn't necessarily about the finished piece. It is about the experiment. It is about the practice. It is about learning something new, learning what you like, learning how to make the things that you want to make. It's a safe space. You should work in there without fear, without wondering if it's going to turn out, without wondering if it's good enough, interesting enough, etc. Not everything has to be a finished piece. Not everything has to mean anything. Doodles are a perfectly good way to use your time, to practice, to experiment. They're not a waste of time, even though in my mind I hesitate to doodle in my sketchbook, because I want to get better. I want to draw good things. And doodles, I don't see, when I see other people doing doodles, I don't think that they're bad. I don't think that that didn't take talent. I know that it did. But for whatever reason, I applied different standards to myself. And I hesitate to doodle. I've been forcing myself to doodle more in order to get over that idea that a doodle isn't good enough, to get over that fear that people are going to judge me for just doodling. Doodling is art. One tip I've heard a number of YouTubers give about getting over fear of drawing in your sketchbook to buy a cheap sketchbook. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. The first sketchbook that I had, I don't know how much it cost. It was given to me, but I treated it like it was precious. I wanted every sketch in there to be really good. I wanted it to be perfect. I didn't want to waste any pages in there. And so that sketchbook sat for a very long time, very much unused. Eventually, I just decided I'm going to just use the sketchbook. Whether it's good or not, I'm going to use the sketchbook because I have it, because I've started it, and I want to finish it, just so that I can get back into the habit of drawing. And that was very freeing to just think of it as, it's just paper. I'm not wasting it by drawing bad things. I'm not wasting it by doing swatches. I'm not wasting the paper. I am trying new things. I am learning, and that's what a sketchbook is for. Just this last year, my boss got me a Canson XL watercolor sketchbook. And I know that those aren't terribly expensive. And I started using it. I just opened it up and just threw some paint on the page. And I swatched some supplies that I got for Christmas. And I am treating that like it costs nothing, like it doesn't matter. And it's been wonderful. It's been freeing. And so I do believe that there is very much a truth in using cheap paper, cheap supplies in order to get yourself over the fear of ruining or wasting your supplies. And I honestly don't think that anything that you do, whether it turns out well or not, is wasted. Again, we need to reframe it in our minds as a learning experience, as an adventure. I've also heard and seen and felt myself that fear of taking on a piece because you're afraid that your skills just aren't good enough yet to try that thing, to draw that thing, to sculpt that thing. And I think that that's a mistake. We need to try the thing, even if it doesn't turn out the way that we envisioned it in our heads. We have pushed ourselves outside of our comfort zone, and that's where we're going to grow the most. You need to sometimes push yourself outside of that comfort zone in order to see where you really are. And you will often surprise yourself with what you can do, with what you can create. But you got to get over that fear. You've got to take that leap. You've got to try and see what happens. And it may end up being something that you don't like, but there will likely be pieces of that artwork that you actually really do like. There will be things that you surprise yourself with, and it will build your confidence that, hey, I am better than I think that I am. Because I think we are all better than we think that we are. We are very hard on ourselves as artists. We are very picky. We see all of the issues, all of the problems in our pieces. And like I said, other people don't see those. They look at it as in a more holistic view. They don't see all of the little lines that you didn't quite put in the right place or at the right angle or at the right length. They don't see those because they weren't as close to it as you are. And nobody else in the world is as close to a piece of artwork as the artist. And so nobody else sees those little mistakes. They don't think that they are mistakes. They look at it and they see a very nice, beautiful piece of art. I think that fear of not doing well, of not creating a good piece, of just failing at artwork is never going to completely go away. But I think that it's something that we can certainly lessen. It is something that with practice and with positive thinking, with reframing the way that we see this, and reframing the way that we think about it, I think that we can make it easier to start. We can make it easier to try new things and allow ourselves to grow and become more confident more quickly. Like I said, I think it's all about repetition. We just have to keep trying the thing, keep doing the thing, even if it's scary, even if we think we're going to fail at it. Just keep trying, and we will get more and more accustomed to trying, and we will have less and less hesitation and less fear of the thing as it becomes more and more familiar. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you've enjoyed watching the painting as I talk to you. If you have any comments or suggestions for videos in the future, or if you want to talk about other tips and tricks that you have for overcoming fear, just put them down in the comments. And please like and subscribe, and I will hopefully see you soon. Bye.